Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE Tuesdays Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Monday Night Raw, November 6, 2023 edition. And Raw wasted no time building towards Survivor Series coming off a crown jewel. This episode of Raw will announce some matches for the show. The Judgment Day faced their greatest challenge, and that is the combined efforts of Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso. The two groups will meet inside WarGames on November 25th. Before coming together for WarGames, Rollins and Zayn would fight for the World Heavyweight Championship. And while this was a big match rushed out for the night, the two made the most of their spotlight. Rhea Ripley found out who her opponent is for Survivor Series, that being Zoe Stark, who won a Battle Royal to earn that title shot. The Miz competed in a Fatal 4-Way match to earn an earning an Intercontinental Championship match against Gunther. This was an important night on the road to Survivor Series, and with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Judgment Day, who, let's be honest, it seems like what Raw has been doing for the longest time has kind of been dragging its feet until Survivor Series WarGames, so we can get the Judgment Day featured inside that structure with some of the people they've been feuding with for far too long, like Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And after WarGames, I'd imagine there's going to be a shake-up, and if there's not, it needs to happen, but I imagine that there probably will be a shake-up afterwards, especially if they lose. Yeah, so depending on how it goes, but imagine if they lose WarGames, there's definitely a shake-up. But back to this episode of Raw. Judgment Day did not play as much of a role on Raw as usual, but the group still controls the way the show is structured each week. WWE has teased change-ups before within the stable, but nothing has really ever come of it. I mean, heck, even JD McDonough hasn't still officially joined the group after like 5 months of trying to. Everything has been building to this WarGames match, and when that is done, this rivalry needs to end. Zayn and Rhodes especially need to move on. Rollins will still have Priest because he's Mr. Money in the Bank looming over him, but that story's got to find a way to evolve. No matter whether Drew McIntyre joins the group, Balor's kicked out, or new challengers step up, it's time to change the focus of Raw. Speaking of McIntyre, last year WarGames was 5-on-5, and I think traditionally that's usually what it is 5-on-5, so either WWE's foregoing 5-on-5, which is also something associated with Survivor Series too, is 5-on-5, so either WWE's foregoing it, which is unlikely, or there's going to be a fifth person added, and Drew McIntyre would make sense as a fifth person if you join the group. And then who would join, whatever, I don't know who the team leader would be, I guess Team Zayn? Maybe, yeah, Team Zayn versus Team Judgment Day. I mean, who joins Team Zayn? If McIntyre joins Team Judgment Day, maybe Randy Orton. I've heard that one floated out. That'd be a great way to reintroduce him. Although I don't know if you want a guy coming off a serious back injury competing in a match like WarGames, but I guess if he's healthy, he's healthy. The Miz, so he is due for he is going to be we'll just read it off the screen here. Upcoming good guy turn might be the last great run of his career. I've heard some people say this is the last great run of his career. I'm not willing to write off Miz just yet, but I do understand that at 43 years old, he might be reaching the tail end of his career. Over a 19-year career, he's built himself a legacy as a reliable veteran. He's a 2-time Grand Slam champion, a 2-time WWE champion, and a 8-time Intercontinental champion, and he's had his moments at the top for the company, but he's never been a top in-ring worker. But he knows how to innovate his offense in ways that allow him to compete with top athletes. Challenging Gunther and Imperium will put him in a unique position for his career. For the majority of his career, he's been basically a bad guy character. It's kind of been his natural fit. He's had his moments as a good guy character, but it doesn't last for very long. And with his extra effort in the ring lately, Miz has seemingly regained the crowd's love, and looks like he will be cheered when he challenges Gunther for the Intercontinental title at Survivor Series. Now, the Miz won't be the one to dethrone Gunther, unfortunately for Miz, but this story can bring him back into the spotlight and see him sold as a serious competitor for potentially one last great run. Again, I'm not saying this is his final run. I'll let other people say that, but maybe this is, maybe this isn't. Zoe Stark, so she earned herself a Women's World Championship match at Survivor Series, but WWE has their work cut out for them in terms of trying to make Zoe Stark look like a credible challenger for that match. So, no disrespect to Stark, she's a talented rising star in the women's division, and she has delivered more often than not in 2023 since her call-up, but she's not a serious challenger at the moment to Rhea Ripley. The Eradicator controls the Raw Women's division with an iron fist. Anyone who steps up to her needs to be either a loved underdog or a dominant star, and while Stark is talented and incredible, she fits in neither category. She currently sits in a tweener role right now and has yet to pick up a career-defining victory on the main roster. Over the next couple of weeks, WWE is going to have to think of a way to build her up just to sell fans on the matchup. Otherwise, you might get people tuning out of this matchup. I mean, I'll still watch, but I mean, I will say this: I'm not against her being in a title match, but again, at least sell people on the idea that she has a chance, even though she actually doesn't. Sell people on the idea. Right now, that idea, nobody's buying. Going backwards there. There we go. Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn, the main event, and what could have been a potentially great feud was wasted on an episode of Raw. At its most successful, professional wrestling is built on hype. The best matches draw fans in like nothing else. It rarely makes sense to rush an important match, especially for a world title. This week, Seth Rollins defended the World Heavyweight Championship for just the second time on Raw since he won it. The impromptu contest was against the credible challenger in Sami Zayn, and yes, it was a great bout. But WWE would have been better off waiting to deliver it. And I thought when Rollins first announced getting a title shot, that it was going to be for Survivor Series. But I guess that's not the case because they have other things for those two guys. So instead of doing it at Survivor Series, which would have been better business, instead it happens with little fanfare on the main event of Monday Night Raw. It did deliver beyond expectations. But hopefully there's a plan for a rematch in the future, given a less than definitive finish. But the novelty of the first-time clash has come and gone. So that's that proverbial lightning in the bottle that once you release it, you don't get to put it back in. It's the same thing for Rhodes versus Reigns. You can run back Rhodes versus Reigns at WrestleMania 40, but the feeling that came with the first-time clash, it's gone. It came, it went, and you don't get it back. You might get a similar feeling for round 2, but it's not going to be the same as round 1. And with that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.